Time travelers, welcome, and welcome new time travelers. As always, if you're new to this channel and enjoy learning about history, one event at a time, not only from the US, but also from around the world, then don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today we're going to start out in 1054 when Humbert of Sylvia, Candela, Cardinal, and Papal Legate excommunicated Michael Silurius Parcel of Constantinople, who related by excommunicated who retailed by excommunicating the cardinal, which led to the schism between the churches of Rome and Constantinople. In 1377, Richard II was officially installed as King of England, almost a month after the death of his grandfather, Edward III. Moving on to 1862, when Ida B. Wells Barnett, an American journalist who led a crusade against lynching, was born in Holly Springs, Mississippi. 20 years later, in 1882, First Lady, who was the First Lady from 1861 to 1865, Mary Todd Lincoln, the wife of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, died at the age of 63. Now, in 1935, the world's first parking meters were installed in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. The device, which sought to ease congestion, was designed by Carl C. McGee. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That actually makes me think of the song they did in Wacky, by Wacky, that did the 50 states and their capitals. Off topic. 1941 is when American baseball player Joe DiMaggio set an MLB record for most consecutive games of 56 with a hit. Now, the United States tested its first atomic bomb on this day in 1945 near Alamogordo, New Mexico, and the following month dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, hastening the end of World War II. In 1951, J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye, which centered on the sensitive, rebellious adolescent Holden Caulfield, was published and later became a classic. 14 years later, in 1965, the Mont Blanc Tunnel officially opened, linking France and Italy. At the time, it was the world's longest vehicular tunnel, spanning 7.3 miles, or 11.7 kilometers, or kilomiles, one of them. 4 years later, in 1969, Apollo 11 lifted off from NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and 4 days later, two of its astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, became the first humans to set on the moon. Now, 10 years later, in 1979, Saddam Hussein became president of Iraq, and his brutal rule, which lasted 24 years, was marked by costly and unsuccessful wars with neighboring countries, as well as atrocities against the Iraqi people. 1993 is when near Lac Bochette, Quebec, a pickup truck and a bus carrying senior citizens from a shrine crashes head-on while traveling on a winding highway. 19 persons were killed in the accident and one person dies later. 6 years later, in 1999, American publisher and lawyer John F. Kennedy Jr., the only son of U.S. President John F. Kennedy and First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, died after the airplane he was piloting crashes off of Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. Also killed were his wife and her sister. 2001 is when Jacques Rogue of Belgium was chosen to replace Juan Antonio Samaranch as the president of the International Olympic Committee. 3 years later, in 2004, Chicago officially opened its Millennium Park, which featured fountains, eye-catching sculptures, and a large outdoor concert facility designed by architect Frank Gehry. And finally, in 2017, filmmaker George A. Romero, who was known for his horror films, notably Night of the Living Dead, that premiered in 1968, which launched a series of related movies, died at the age of 77. And with that, we return to 2024 and our current history. Until next time.